I'm Julie Saunders.
I'm Jan Wilson. Julie and I both have experience as school librarians, and we've worked together as district library leaders.
In each episode, we'll dive into our profession with interviews and meaningful content to inspire you. We're not experts,
but we're pretty close.
The ideas and opinions shared by any host, guest, or listener are their own and do not represent those of any respective school district.
Welcome to Library Exchange.
Looking for books that spark curiosity and support learning at every stage? Cherry Lake Publishing Group has you covered.
From early literacy with Cherry Blossom Press to high-interest reads from 45th Parallel and beloved storytime favorites from Sleeping Bear Press, their titles educate, empower, and entertain.
Explore animals, careers, STEAM, and even today's most popular games. Plus, enjoy free activities, ebooks, and more.
Visit cherrylakepublishing.com or contact sales rep Martha Stockton to learn more at marthastockton@gmail.com.
Jan, winter break and the holidays are right around the corner, and while we're wrapping up the year, we're also wrapping up our very first season.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Yes, that's right. Our final episode of 2025 drops in 2 weeks, so that's December 22nd, and it's the key takeaways of our session with Cicely Lewis last month at the Georgia Educational Technology Conference, where we discussed what's trending for school librarians.
And yes, in case you were wondering, we're including all of the great feedback and ideas from the school librarians who were there. So if you didn't attend, tune in to hear all about it.
Yeah, but Julie, if you were in this session, you may even get a shout out on the episode. We've had a month where we've read the Padlet post and reached out to some of the librarians for more details. So I think it's a great way to wrap up our podcast first year.
Absolutely. I agree. For now, let's turn our attention to today's guest, Kannan Cangro, who we met in St. Louis this year at AASL. This is Kannan's 8th year as a school librarian in Northern Virginia, and previous to that, she was an art teacher.
Oh, Julie, I don't know about you, but I'm pretty sure she's the first librarian that I've met that went from teaching art to library.
Me too.
Unique, Kannan, but I love it. In March, Kannan was recognized with a Fairfax County First Class Award, and this award is for creating opportunities and designing programs that benefit all students, including those with disabilities.
And in May, Kannan won a Fairfax County SEPTA Excellence Award for Outstanding Co-Curricular Staff for her support of students with disabilities and for championing inclusion. Congratulations on those 2 awards, and welcome to Library Exchange, Kannan.
Well, thanks. Good to see you both.
Can you tell us about your school and staff to get us started?
Sure. So I teach in an elementary school of kindergarten through 6th grade. We have about 560 students. I teach in a very large district. In fact, we're the 9th largest district in the country. We have about 250 librarians in my district. In my school, it's just me. I'm a solo show. This is my 8th year. My school is a fully inclusion school. We don't have any self-contained classes. All of our students are either pull-out or fully inclusion. We are a Purple Star school, which is a Virginia recognition for supporting military families and children. So we also have a transient community. And then one interesting thing about our school is that we have foreign language in the elementary school, which that means every student in our school gets a language as a special. And our language is Mandarin. So all our students K through 6 learn Mandarin as a special.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Another time I'm going to say unique already.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I love the Purple Star distinction because that means your school is fostering a welcome environment because there's so much transition. Kannan, I want to turn our attention to the focus of this episode for which you are known, because I know you presented at AASL as well, but the STEAM program at your school was initially supported by a Boeing grant, if I remember correctly. Can you kind of walk us through the evolution of your program from the initial resources and that grant is no longer, but you're still continuing the program.
I had nothing to do with that grant, and I want to put that out there. The grant was actually given to, I believe, the whole pyramid. It must have been someone either above us or the high school, not sure. But basically, Boeing gave a grant to our pyramid, which is our high school and all the feeder schools.
So, yeah, I do want to make that distinction.
Mm-hmm.
A pyramid in your district is like a cluster.
It's the high school, the middle school that feeds into the high school, and all the elementary schools that feed into that high school.
Okay.
So that is what we call a pyramid. And the focus of the grant was to expose as many students as we could to STEAM education, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So we were trying to do that as a whole. I was not initially included in on the grant process at my school. The resources were given, but what happened was they realized they needed more exposure to more students. And who has access to all the students? The librarian does.
Bingo.
And they happen to be meeting in my library. You know, when that happens, right? They just happen to be there and you just happen to raise your hand and go, I'll do it. And that literally is what happened. So I said, I can do it. Initially, the resources given to us was Lego We Do kits. We were given Lego EV3s. Both of those have now been sunset. So for those of you who may be coming to STEAM now, I think now this Lego supports Lego Spike. That is the new system. We were given a class set of Ozobots, and we were trying to expose as many students as we could to it. At the same time, I was already doing some STEAM teaching to my students without any of that stuff. I had a set of Kiva planks that I bought with my library funds. I had some things I bought odds and ends from the Scholastic catalog.
Just to clarify, the Kiva planks are those little wooden
so
planks.
they're wooden. They're literally wooden planks. There's two kinds. There's pine and cedar.
Okay.
The pine is much cheaper. They don't last as long. A class set is about 800 planks. They're all symmetrical. And I know people would think like, well, that sounds super boring. But actually, it opens up a lot of creative and critical thinking with students because they are just so simple. I did get a class set of those. And then through the Scholastic catalog, I bought things like cue blocks, which they kind of like these little blocks that go together. I bought straws and connectors. I had brought brain flakes, which they look like little pinwheels that click together. So I had those things. And so given the opportunity to kind of leap into this other cool robotics programming was pretty interesting. Also, in that time was given to me the idea of the engineering design process. Before that, I was kind of just teaching it like a PBL method where you make project-based learning method where I was like, okay, I'll give you a problem and then a challenge. But I never had seen it in the engineering design process. And when the engineering design process was explained to me, I thought, wow, this is a lot like the writing process. You make a plan, you execute the plan, you improve the plan, you go back and change it. So I'm like, wow, that's what we do when we write. We make a first draft and then we write and then we fix it. And then we make another draft and then we fix it until in the end we're done, right? So to me, I understood that. That's my wheelhouse. I understand writing. So I understood engineering. And so that's kind of where we started. We do not have a STEAM teacher. So we have a librarian. We have an advanced academics resource teacher, which in other districts, I know they call like the gifted teacher. And then we have our technology teacher. So there was the three of us kind of going full force with this. It was about a year and a half and then COVID hit. And so COVID hit, it all got kind of put on hold. And then we came back and my tech teacher was like, well, the Boeing grant's done. I'm done with this. But my advanced academics resource teacher and I both loved it. And we were working with students grade level by grade level. We were teaming together with sixth graders working with kindergartners. We were working so we did a lot of collaboration in the beginning. She and I were like, okay, what else can we add to our repertoire that we can make this like a true STEAM program? Every year we kind of like hustle our PTA, and I say hustle because literally we have to put the right angle in, right? So if the librarian's always asking for things, they're going to start saying no. So what I started doing is asking other people in the building, okay, would you sign off on this budget request for the PTA? For this, for that. And through that, we have been able to really make like a whole set of STEAM equipment. So we have microbits, which are small circuit boards with LED lights. We have a whole class set of microbits. And when I say a class set, I want to clarify, our class sets are for pairs of students. We don't have one per. We have for pairs. So Lego, it's a pair of students. Our Ozobots, it's a pair of students. We purchased blue bots recently, which are bots with buttons on top. We bought those for our littles, like our kindergartners, to start with STEAM and programming.
So without having a specific STEAM teacher, how do you actually incorporate the activities with your fixed library schedule?
So I don't see all my grade levels. I see K through 4 fixed on our master schedule for 30 minutes a week. So they all show up every week, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
For my littles, we start with a book. For my bigger ones, I do too, but we start with a book. And before I even explain the STEAM challenge, we just read a book. And usually with my kindergartners, I start with The Three Little Pigs. It's kind of the easiest. It's a story they know, so they don't need to always, because they're not always paying attention 100%, right? Because they're 5 and 6. So they know the story. They kind of have the concept. I'm reviewing the story for them. So we might read The Three Little Pigs, talk about the 3 little pigs and their houses for 15 minutes, and then we go check out 15 minutes. That's class 1. Class 2, I will introduce the challenge. So for my kindergartners, I might use Kiva planks. I didn't always have Kiva planks. So before I had Kiva planks, we were using this hodgepodge of Legos.
Which is probably helpful for libraries that don't have a budget or are trying to get started.
Yeah, I would use either a hodgepodge of Legos. I've also raided our math closet and taken all the oh my gosh, what are they called? The placeholder cubes.
Yeah.
I fully believe that if it's in the math closet and right now it's November, if they wanted them, they would have taken them.
Absolutely. Those math manipulatives are great.
Exactly.
That's a great supplement to a makerspace area.
Yeah. So I borrow them. And if they want, to come get them, they'll be like, hey, where'd those go? They're probably in the library. So yeah, so I've done that. And honestly, you could do it with index cards cards and tape. Like I've seen other people do it with popsicle sticks. I've seen straws. I mean, I've seen all sorts of things. So for librarians who don't have a budget, please do not think you need Kiva planks and Legos.
Mm-hmm.
You do not.
I kind of derailed you. So that was class number 2 where you actually use those products. Okay.
No, we don't use them yet. So in class 2, I tell them what we're using and we make a plan. So I usually I pair them up. I make the groups. I don't let them make the groups because we always pick our best friends. And we make a plan. I make them have at least 2 plans when they're little. As they get older, grades 3, 4, I'll say you need 3 plans. And then we'll pick a plan because it's very easy to get stuck in one plan. If they finish the plan, then we can start to build. Usually with the littles, we don't build the first time. With the older kids, I usually don't either. I'll go back to them and we'll talk about refinement, things like that. With my older students, so by older, I mean like middle of the year, 2nd grade and up, I tell them that they are self-managing their time. They are managing their time for the day. So today, you are making a plan. You decide with your partner when you're checking out in this 30 minutes. I said, I'm going to give you a 5-minute warning. At that 5-minute warning, if you have not checked out, it's time to go check out. You're self-managing your bugs. They also hear the term self-manage from me a lot about checking out. So the term self-managing time is not new to them.
Okay.
They understand what a self-managing of time is. So I just give them parameters. The 5-minute warning is also the cleanup warning. So it's cleanup and checkout. So they need a good 5 minutes.
So Kannan, with the 3 Little Pigs challenge, I'm just guessing that challenge is probably to make some type of a home and not have it fall over with what? A hairdryer?
No, I actually just use a fan, a big box fan. So we have a big box fan and I just bring it over.
Julie knows why I said hairdryer.
Yeah.
Jan loves her hair products.
A hairdryer though, that would be interesting, a hairdryer, because it's like more portable, but I feel like it's kind of small. I don't know. Maybe a hairdryer would totally work. You can also modify the challenge. If you don't want to bring in a big box fan, you could even say, hey, the 3 little pigs are making a house to survive an earthquake. And you can just shake the table. Right? So I can also take that 3 little pigs book and the same material and kind of do a vertical articulation all day. So I may read them 3 little pigs. I may read my 1st graders another book. For my 2nd graders, I may do Iggy Peck Architect because she's making a plan and then she's building it. For my 3rd graders, I may repeat the book. And then the challenge would change. So my kindergartners would make a house. My 1st graders, I might have read I Am Not a Chair, and they may have to make a chair. But the challenge changes, the material does not. That will make your life a lot easier as a librarian.
What did you do with when you mentioned Jabari jumps when we spoke before?
Yeah.
I love that book.
So for Jabari jumps, we have done diving boards, like you create a diving board, but usually I will do with one of the robots. They have to come up with a little routine before he dives. It's the best pre-dive dance.
Yeah.
So we've done that. Yeah, we've done Jabari jumps with that. With my fourth graders last year, I didn't even read them a book. I actually showed them a Soul Train dance line from the 70s. And my challenge to them was they had to program their bot to go up the hallway. I gave them so many blocks. Your robot has to go from here to there, and you need to program a dance for the dance line. And when they were watching the dance line, they were like, what is this?
Yeah.
And I was like, just keep watching. Just keep watching. But yeah, so it doesn't always have to be a book, but I usually tend to pick a book.
Right.
To give us that literacy connection as much as
So,
possible.
Kannan, I love how you structure your learning activities. Previously, when we spoke, you mentioned that you don't grade the students on the STEAM challenges.
I don't.
What skills are they learning in a no-stakes environment?
So I feel like they learn a lot of life skills. So, we're learning to be creative and critical thinkers, which we're used to doing, but they're not always used to doing it in a pair, right? Having two opinions and having to decide what to do, that's not always the case. So I feel like they're learning a little bit of negotiation, give and take with partners. They're also learning to be wonderful collaborators, right? Sometimes they're seeing something being done at another table, and to explain to them that copying is the most sincere form of flattery. They didn't copy you. They saw a really great idea, right? We talk about collaborating and working together a lot. It's a lot of skills that I don't feel are always given in other places in this building. Then what I do is we do a lot of formative assessments. So I will look at their sketches. I'll write a little note or something. My little kids can't handle me writing on their papers, so I always put Post-its. I always put a Post-it, right, and write the suggestion. And then sometimes, because reflection is the hardest part, there's no time. And I'll be very honest also in the engineering design process. I don't get to improve very often. We often just talk about, if you had more time, what would you do? So, your bridge fell apart. If we had more time, what would you have done differently?
So, Kannan, how about the verbal exit ticket? Can you talk about that? Give us an example.
Yeah.
It'll say, who was a great collaborator today? Give me an example.
Oh, I love that.
And I always make them tell me about somebody else. It's very easy to talk about yourself. It's not easy to talk about somebody else. I'll even sometimes talk about frustrations. I'll say, who can tell me, which team got frustrated and how did you get past it? Because there's always levels of frustration, right? And then we're building in that social emotional learning too. And we're saying, hey, what are some strategies you used when you were frustrated? And they may tell me this week, I took a deep breath. I did hot chocolate breathing. We walked away. And then next week, when the other team is frustrated, I'll say, hey, remember when Johnny and Adam told us they tried hot chocolate breathing? They walked away.
I don't know what that is.
Oh, you don't know hot chocolate breathing? So you put a cup in your hand and it's very hot chocolate and you pretend to blow it out. So you blow it out. And so that visual is very good for students because sometimes they don't really understand. Take a deep breath. I think for some reason, the hot chocolate breathing.
That is so creative.
Yeah. I did not come up with that. That's from our school counselor. That's absolutely our amazing school counselor. And I'll be like, is it really hot? Do you have to blow really hard? Is that how big our frustration is? And sometimes vocalizing a frustration also helps. I'll say, how big are you frustrated? Like a little bit, very big. And sometimes they're like, it's very big. I'm like, that sounds like you need to go get a drink and come back. Right. Or, hey, I see you haven't checked out yet. Let's walk away. Let's go check out now.
Well,
right?
I think
Things
it's great that they compliment one another when you ask who was a great collaborator today, because we need kids to recognize other kids' behaviors or strengths and not just weaknesses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So one more thing we wanted to talk about, Kannan, before we close is that I think you said you're in your fourth year of planning a true book fair.
Yeah, this is our fourth true book fair. It will be this June.
And every K through 6 student will choose 2 new books to take home. So can you describe the logistics of that?
Originally, I've wanted to do this for a very long time. And every time I would go to my PTA, they'd kind of shoot me down. And then I had a friend who was like, I'm going to do this. And this is how I'm doing it. And she was doing it through Donors Choose and grants. And I said, well, let me try to approach the PTA, but I'm going to try to get as many staff members on board as I can. So I literally asked every specialist in the building. I got everyone on board and I applied to the PTA and I was like, hey, could you give us some money? The first year they gave us enough for every student to get one book. I strongly believe in them being brand new books. If it's a book fair, it should be a brand new book. And I also believe in free choice, that they should come and pick the books. So the first year they did one book and it was a tremendous success. And then the next year they gave me enough funding for 2 books and we've been able to kind of go with the 2 books for now. Last year we had enough books left over that our new kindergartners came in this year. They all got 2 books at the open house. I've started ordering books. I start ordering them in October. As soon as the PTA budget goes through, my finance secretary and I, no one hustles like we hustle in this school. And we use First Book. So First Book, for those of you who are aware, is for Title I, but also if you are a military supporting school, you can use First Book. And that's how we qualify. From an equity lens, I feel like I can't be more equitable with them. I also know, as much as I tell them, hey, you can go to the public library in the summer, they don't control that fate. So at least I know they're leaving with 2 books from their library for their own home library, whatever it is. And I set it up like a book fair, the whole shebang. We do the tablecloths and the balloons and
Oh my God.
I set it
I
up
love
like a
this.
book fair.
I
Yes.
love this.
It should not, to me, it should not look any different than my regular book fair, minus the cash registers. There's just no cash registers and there's no stuff, right? Because it's a book fair. They come in and they pick their 2 books and they go on their way. And it's a very happy day for everybody.
Oh, that's awesome, Kannan. This was such a pleasure to hear more about the STEAM activities in your library. And as we wrap up things today, can you tell us how to contact or follow you?
Sure. So I'm on most social media with @Cangro, Cangro, lib, Lib for library. Please don't message me on X. I never check, but I am there if you're looking for me. Or you can email me at kcangro@gmail.com.
Kannan, thank you so much for your time today. I love your passion.
Thanks.
You're very engaging to listen to, and thank you for all the opportunities you provide for your students.
Sure. It's great talking to you guys. And if anybody needs a collaborator, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help.
How about a shout out to her school for offering the dual language opportunities in Mandarin?
And that was unexpected. That was not the language I expected to hear her say.
I know. I love to hear about all the unique programs that schools around the country offer to students.
Julie, we met her in person, and I hope it comes across to our listeners because Kannan loves what she does.
She does.
And she has the students in mind when she plans. And at the onset of our recap, I just want to say that even though we were talking about STEAM topics, she shared amazing tips for managing the students that sound very effective, which I would expect from someone who did teach art and, the 5-minute warning. Anyway, it sounds like a great recommendation.
Yeah. So we've exchanged our ideas. So now let's officially start the recap. So Kannan provides our listeners with some practical tips and tricks, which I always say, my favorite thing for implementing a similar program. And even though she was given the grant from Boeing that initially kicked off the program, she's managed to continue providing those STEAM activities in her library.
So one of her tips, which I found funny as a former middle school math teacher, is to raid the math closet. But those connecting cubes, they're used for like addition, subtraction, and learning place value. And those are perfect, especially if you don't have a budget for supplies. Using index cards, popsicle sticks, or straws for your STEAM challenges, you don't have to have a budget yet.
True. I really want to highlight that she uses engineering principles as the foundation for her projects, sticking to that engineering design where you plan, execute, test, and improve a plan. That process really encourages critical and creative thinking while working towards continuous improvement. And to me, that provides depth to the learning process.
I wrote down we're on the same page. I wrote down, use the writing process analogy, because for students to hear those same steps outside of maybe a language arts classroom or writing could be a light bulb moment, for some of them. I love the idea of just choosing one set of materials like the Kiva planks or the Legos and possibly using the same book in the entire day, but just changing up the challenge for each grade level, because automatically this cuts down on prep and cleanup time between classes. Work smarter, not harder.
I love that too.
Mm-hmm.
The parameters that she provided and talked about for her students to own their own learning by prioritizing the time as a partnership, to me, is genius.
Yes.
The students are learning how to control the creation process while prioritizing their time, which is truly, truly, truly a life skill. And also, it's a great classroom management tool.
You give kids responsibility and they show up, they prove they can handle things. How great is it to implement a verbal exit ticket, since she doesn't grade students on the challenges? So this is probably even more motivating. The focus, like you said, is on life skills, critical thinking, negotiation. And so that refine or improve step becomes a verbal discussion. So ending classes with that reflection, whether she asked, hey, compliment another student's effort, or what I liked was, if you were to start this challenge over from the beginning, what would you do differently?
I love that too.
Yeah.
So my last comment is actually about the True Book Fair.
But wait, Julie, I want to give you a quote. I haven't given you a quote.
Okay. I would love to hear a quote.
Yeah, it's been a few months. What would you do differently if you could start the challenge over? So Henry Ford said, the only real mistake is the one from which we learn nothing.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. We learn from failure. That's why I'm kind of smart.
You're smart. You're very smart.
From so much failure.
So now I'm going to talk my last comment about the True Book Fair. I know that we both are big fans of providing choice, variety, and access to library books, and we love for students to have options of adding to their personal libraries.
Librarians tend to have a love-hate relationship with book fairs. Would you agree?
Yes.
So, but it is a must for those librarians that don't have a guaranteed budget and they need to find a way to buy new books for their collection. So the True Book Fair model, I did a little research, Julie.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, the word fair is capitalized, meaning it's fair for everyone because it's free. Yeah, and students get to choose their books. And there are several articles about this online. It was inspired by Julie Stivers, the 2023 School Librarian of the Year.
It's a great concept.
Man, we're out of time, and I didn't get to talk about the hot chocolate breathing for being a strategy for frustration.
That was wonderful. I love that strategy. I think she said her counselor came up with that. That's amazing.
Yeah, I needed that so many times. So you guys, Kannan's social media is at Cangro Lib, or for library. So CANGROLIB. And you can also reach her by email at the letter K, Cangro, @gmail.com. You know what I just realized, Julie? Her last name, Cangro, really fits her mission of helping students grow in the library.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Did you just think of that?
I just peeked.
Wow.
As we're at the end of the recap, I peeked. So you guys, don't forget to tune in to our final episode of Season 1 on December 22nd.
Make sure to visit our website at www.libraryexchangepodcast.com.
You'll find episode notes and links. You can even submit your questions or inspiring stories that may be featured on the podcast.
If you're looking for some swag for your library or book-loving friends, visit libraryexchange.etsy.com.
That's a lot of URLs, so I'm glad you had to say all of that, Julie.
Thanks for joining us. We can't wait to have you back for our next episode of Library Exchange.